Along the boulevards in 1840, the flaneur chatted with whom he pleased as casually as the pace his turtle set him. I try to imagine him subtler than that. Although he'd talk with them sometimes, they'd rarely place him by the way he dressed or by his preference for districts. Letting the crowd inscribe him with its hurry and its looks, he'd be its marker, watching. It would be by him that we might figure who we are. Disdainful and preoccupied and tired, it's what we miss that makes us passers-by. I meet someone, we talk. We're both a little surprised that it's that easy. Am I sounding too cordial, too relieved? It isn't traveling that makes me ask. I do the same thing here. I think too much beyond my part in what I'm saying. Is this other person interested? I can't be sure. To shame me out of wanting to be sure, you've told me that you think I'd feel more interesting if I were dying. That just might do it, you think. It might remind me more that I'm interested, me. I wouldn't lean so far ahead of myself. I wouldn't have to. I'd have my closure with me as I talked. Maybe it's what I want. I hope you're wrong. I still might ask you, have I told you this before? We tell each other things that are only starting to make sense. If they seem to make more as we tell them, and if we go on, what is it that we're leaving out? We're past it now. Whatever it was, we didn't have to say it, didn't break with it in the way that talking breaks open within it, between its parts, a time for other parts, intrusions, more chances to be missing what we meant to say. Linda was awake one night and wanted to tell me where she'd gone with them that afternoon. They'd parked at a power station where it was flat. There were tracks all ready for their skis, and they skied there until Giorgio or Peronda thought they should go around behind the village by some poplars and try it up that way. The buildings thinned out, and there were sheds with animals with piles of straw outside, and men in some of the sheds, and outside too, with more straw for the animals and bringing out the dung. She had to go around bushes and small trees. She kept falling, and they all laughed and decided to come back through the village because it might be easier. The street was ice and hardly wide enough for two of them at a time or for a cart. They felt showy in their bright nylon. A woman with a bowl looked at them from her door. Chickens, a covered water trough. She told me more about the street and then remembered. What she was saying, she said, was that there were farmers out working in the snow. I'll close with a poem called The Believed In, which I want to dedicate to the memory of my good friend and colleague Richard Kroll, who died 11 days ago. The Believed In. Christmas comes from stories. These promise that God's love for us will outstrip death. Only if it's not likely to can the believed in happen. All I can be sure of waiting for it is that I want it to come. Than almost anything, I'd rather it be love that at its last the body can't take anymore and dies of, alive at once to its having been made good. Results at the end vary. Children beloved by them are sometimes told by the dying, I thought it would be you of all people who would keep me here. If it's to be to God's keep that I give up those I lose, then God both knew what it was to lose a son and could do nothing either time to save him. That doesn't sound like God. I'm supposing God can do all. Lost twice to body, Jesus was as quickly back again in God's love forever. It was given to me to have been loved for my first 6 years in a house that had my nanny Florence in it and my mother and dad. Never talked about even by them, my mother's doom was there too. In the looks those three passed, each had to have seen the stakes in who was who and may have wanted to switch. I'm lost to the ways that love is right at bodies sometimes, always just as it's leaving, and often without touch. Thank you.